All right, we're almost there. The NBA season is 2 days away, and I'm going to go through all of the teams, their season win totals, some award predictions, and of course, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and you are a very good boy. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. So you know what to do. You hit a thumb, you hit a double bang. We want to hit to 80k subs on YouTube, so let's do that. I want to hit to 100 actually, but let's get to 80 first. Make sure you're leaving comments, chatting in the premieres, thumbing it up as well. And of course, listen on the audio side as well. That's where it is. And giving those reviews over there. It's been a very successful off-season and preseason, I hope for you guys too. Hope your drafts have gone well. Maybe you've still got some left. I'm not sure. But if you do, we're going to still be covering a lot of stuff here. We're going to have a week one preview. We're going to have a Tuesday look-ahead show. We're going to have what else are we going to do? The preseason takeaways, and maybe we slide the NBA watch list in there. We'll find out. What we're doing today is, I'm not sure it's going to be super long, but we're looking at NBA win totals, season win predictions. I did all this without looking at FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. I went through and looked at every team's wins from last season and what they've done. I went and predicted every team's wins. I balanced it out to total to 1230 wins for the entire NBA. I like to make it so it's balanced in that regard. And then I went and looked at the over-unders that were set on FanDuel. And the amount of over-unders that was set, half a win, either side of what I picked, is bloody annoying. Maybe I'd just subconsciously taken in a lot of these win totals from hearing other shows or people talking. I don't know. But I definitely know that when I went and sat down and did these win predictions, I had no idea what the actual number was. I didn't have it in front of me. I went and did it and then put them up there, and a lot of them came out the same. So when I'm placing my bets, and usually I don't bet on basketball really at all. Right? I don't really do it. I usually put a few of the season win totals bets down, which I'm going to do. And there'll be some that you see that I differ from greatly from the actual listed number, which is where I will be more interested in placing those bets. If it's a half game, I'm not going to be interested in it. If it's 1.5, I probably won't be either. If it gets to 2.5 or pushes out further, then we can start talking a little bit more. Let us start in the Eastern Conference. Let's go across to the Atlantic Division and look at these teams. Remember, before we get into this, I hate your team. Whoever your team is, I'm a hater. I hate them. I hate everything about them. I hate the fans, including you. I hate the coach. I hate the players. I hate the owner. Well, that's probably true for all of them. I hate everything. I hate the city. I hate the uniforms. I hate it all. Every one of you suck, and I hate your team. That is why I'm giving them the total that I am. It's only because I'm a hater, and it's because I don't know ball at all. Not at all. I don't even know what the NBA is. Honestly, I've got no idea. The Boston Celtics, last season, as we know, they were pretty damn good in the regular season and in the playoffs. They won the title. They won 64 games. Their over-under sits at 58.5, and I've already started off with a mistake there. Said 58 and 25. That would be one extra game. That's not how I've got it. I've got it at 58 and 24. Now, you said that's ridiculous, Josh. They were the best team in the NBA. Yeah, I agree. They were. They might still be the best team in the NBA. In fact, I have them predicted for the most wins in the NBA again this season. 64 is just such a high number. And the reason I've dropped it down, and this is a soft under, obviously, 58 to 58.5. We're not betting that at all. Porzingis out for 3 months. Yep. He was awesome. He was their second best player for big chunks of last season. They don't have him. So that is just one depth piece gone. They also played an extraordinarily long run. It is very hard to go back-to-back, especially with back-to-back big 60-win seasons. Very hard to do. Their players then also, 1, 2, 3 of them went and played in the Olympics. One of them cried about not going, but 3 of them went and played there too. Getting to 64 wins again is hard. I got them at 58. Still the best in the NBA. But I don't think they hit 60 again. And that's a marginal under. The Nets over-under is 19.5. That is a very low number. And I don't really think we've had a preseason over-under that low that a team has gone under in recent memories. I don't care. I'm going under. 18 and 64. That is bordering on one that's bettable. It's 1.5 games under. They are bad. They have deliberately shown that they're going to be bad. They made moves in the offseason to make themselves bad deliberately. They are bad. And it does get swept under the rug somewhat. But we had last season two teams in the Detroit Pistons win 14 games, and the Washington Wizards won 15 games last season. 15. We had two teams go under 20. I don't think people really realize that the Wizards won 15 games. 15. I think that the Nets are bad. They will lean into being worse. So even if they're competitive, they will lean into being worse. I'm going under at 18 wins. This is the one that I know that people will get upset about because despite their tough exterior, New York people are, again, I hate your team, soft, pissy, and whiny. Go on, drop a comment. The Knicks total is 53.5. I went under dramatically. 48 and 34. And here is why. I didn't know what that number was set at when I did it. They won 50 games last season, and you can easily say they did that last season without Mikal Bridges, with not a full season of OG Anunoby, without Karl Anthony Towns. That is all true. But they have no depth. They have very good players. I love how the team is. Towns, Brunson, Bridges, OG. I love that combination. Josh Hart, unbelievably good player for winning. You have no margin for error whatsoever. At the moment, honestly, their bench is going to be Juice McBride, Campaign, Tyler Kolek, like 3-point guards. That's their bench. Jericho Sims, Pacome Daddier. They don't even have enough players on their roster to meet the league minimum yet. There is no margin for error. If like Towns gets hurt early, Precious Achiuwa's out. It's Sims and Ariel Hukporti. If Brunson goes down, well, they've got 1 million point guards. But who are their forwards? Who are their wings? Nobody. I love their main group. And if I knew that they were healthy, they would win 56 games. But OG doesn't stay healthy usually. Brunson had his share of injuries. Towns has been injured the last couple of years. But more importantly, with zero depth and with Robinson and Achua already out, Tibbs is going to go really easy on his guys. He's probably going to just settle down. If they lose a single game here, it's longest preserved. What am I talking about? He's going to play everyone 50 minutes. So they're going to get hurt again. That is why. I love the Knicks. I love their starting group. I think it is a very strong group, but they have no depth at all. None. And if you push every single game at 1,000,000 miles an hour, when you've got no depth, then those top guys might get hurt again, and then you're actually rooted. That is why I'm going under. Knicks fans, please don't throw street hot dogs at me. Please. The Sixers, I've got it. They're 49.5 is their win total. I'm actually going under. I think that they are probably a 52-win team if we had a level of faith in the health of Embiid and George, but we don't, so I'm going under. They could easily be the 2 seed in the East, Philadelphia, without any real question. But it's just those two. Like, I don't know what to make of it. They're not super deep either. But they're not relying upon 9th man Pacome Daddier. Toronto's at 28.5. That is way too high. 23 and 59 is what I'm going for. Barrett hurt himself. They will shut guys down. Barnes, quickly, Barrett, Pirtle. They will deliberately, and Jakob Pirtle literally said this out loud. And I don't care how bad you think the East is, this team will not want to win more than 28. I'm very certain of that. They will be bad. Deliberately. They've got some good players, but they will not hit 28. They will almost make it their mission to make sure that they don't hit 28 would be my guess at this stage. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. October is the month of scariness. It's Halloween. But we have other fears in our life that don't include skeletons and ghosts and zombies. Therapy can be a great tool for facing your fears, or even facing the fear of not confronting your fear. Is that confusing? Well, BetterHelp can make it more crystal clear, because we need to get over certain things. I'm not saying just forget about it, but we need to find ways to work through it, to discover it, to isolate it, and to be able to push through. And BetterHelp can assist. I was going to say help, but that's too many helps in one phrase. So, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to suit your schedule. You go in there, you fill out all the questions they got for you. They match you up with a therapist, and then, as the New York hot dog throwers would say, bada bing, bada boom, they match you up with somebody. And then if you don't actually get on with that therapist, well, they can match you up with a different one free of charge. So overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Let's go to the next division of teams for their over-unders, and we're going to go to the Central Division, where there are some good teams and bad teams, as there is in all divisions. Basically, the Cavs have an over-under of 48.5, and I asked the question why. They won 48 games last season with a worse coach in JB Bickerstaff, with Donovan Mitchell barely being able to walk for the final 2 months, with Evan Mobley missing, 6 to 8 weeks in the middle of the season, with Darius Garland weighing approximately 100 pounds for a period of time after breaking his jaw, and they're going to get worse. They're going to be the same. Sorry, they won 48. Nah, we're going over 51 for Cleveland. I think they're way better than 48.5. The Bulls over/under is set at 28.5. Now they're a bad team. Don't get me wrong. Are they a similar level team to the Raptors? Yes. The difference is the organization. The difference is the front office. One of them, and despite what you might think, Toronto fans, one of them is an actual good front office who is not infallible and does make mistakes, which is all I've ever said about Masai. The other one is Arturas Kanishevas, who has just been bad basically at every turn. And combined with one of the worst owners in sports, Jerry Reinsdorf, this team might actually push to try and get, maybe, can we get the 10th? Can we get 10? You might. You might get 10. Horrible decision, but you might do it. And because if they don't move off from Vooch, if they don't move off from Levine, which would be insane after what they did in the offseason, but if there's any team that's going to be insane, it's these idiots. So I'm going to take the over. I wouldn't want to bet it because they're bad, but I'll take the over. The Pistons over-under is 25.5. Now, that is big. That is 11.5 games over what they won last season. Now, they are not a 14-win team. They've got rid of the worst GM in the NBA. They've gotten rid of a coach who literally was trying to get fired. Like, actually, literally. Not even the use of literal, which is used figuratively. Literally trying to get fired, Monty Williams. They brought in competent shooting players. Beasley, Hardaway, Harris. Full season for Tekio. Isaiah Stewart playing his proper position. 11 wins is a big jump. It is possible. I jumped them up to 24. But getting to 25.5, meaning you got to get 26 to hit the over. I don't know, man. I'm going to go under at 24. Not sure that's a real bet, though. I like the Cleveland over bet here. Indiana's at 46.5. Again, I asked the question, why? They won 47 games last season. Did this line get set because people go, well, they made a fluke run in the playoffs? They look who they faced. The Knicks got beat up. They beat the Bucks without Giannis. That means nothing. That's literally got nothing to do with any of this. So I think people think they were a fake Eastern Conference Final team, which is fine if you want to think that. But why are they worse in the regular season? Why would they be worse? Are they going to have Tyrese Halliburton on one leg for 3 months? Are they going to have half a year of Pascal Siakam with Bruce Brown filling in the rest of that? Don't think so. Why are they worse? Why? Over. Easy. 49-33 I went with. Easy over. The Bucks are at 49.5 over-under. They were playing pretty well earlier in the season, and then obviously Doc Rivers came in. Did he make things worse? Well, he made things worse, but also better in some areas. I actually went to 47 for them. And why? Because Giannis was actually pretty healthy last season. Middleton's hurt again. Lopez is 37 years old or whatever he is. And Lillard was good and then struggled and had an okay playoffs. But what if he's not fully back to being Dame? And what if Giannis gets hurt instead of in April, in November? I'm going to go under on the Bucks, who are at 49.5. I'm going to take them at 47. I think that one is actually bettable. In the Southeast, the Atlanta Hawks sit at 36.5. I think people look at that and go, well, of course, they don't have DeJounte Murray, who some people foolishly thought was their team's best player. They won 36 games last season. I think they're going to be better because it just makes more sense. Dyson Daniels, Trae Young. Fourth year Jalen Johnson, Not really sure what old mate Ricochet is going to provide. But sometimes the tired, the trite addition by subtraction, maybe it works. Maybe it cheers up the locker room. It's only one win more. It's not a hard over at all. I wouldn't bet it. But I'm going to take 37 wins for the Hawks. The Hornets over-under is 31.5. Now, I made a mistake last year and thought they would push and do much better, and they were terrible. They won 21 games, but they're not a 21-win team. They have done all the right things. They have brought in my alter ego, Josh Longstaff. They have brought in Charles Lee, and I think that's going to push the pace, which helps play to LaMelo Ball's strengths. They've got a new front office. But also, if LaMelo plays 50 games, they're going to be better. Will he? I don't know. But second year Brandon Miller, maybe more Melo. Maybe Trey Mann helps. I don't know. I'm going over, but again, I did the numbers before I saw the actual real things, and I'm only half over, so I'm not doing anything. I thought it'd be way down on Miami. Their over-under is 43.5. So Miami haters, I know you're preparing for me to say they're going to win 30 games. Or no, it's not Miami haters, Miami fans. I actually had them at 47 wins. And I look at it and go, did they get better? I'm not sure. They lost Caleb Martin. But maybe a little bit more spread out of Bam in the offense. A full season of Terry Rozier and maybe Tyler Hero can stay healthy. Maybe Jimmy Butler is a little bit more healthy. Don't know. They've got the best coach in the NBA. So I'll take them at 47 wins, Miami. And that's an over for me. Orlando, 47.5 is their over-under. Again, I ask you, they won 47 games last season. They added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, plus it's year 3 of Paolo Banchero. Sure, they were healthy at times last season. They were pretty healthy most of the time. But why are we expecting stagnation? I think they're better. I went 49 for Orlando. Year 3 Paolo, year 4 Franz, KCP added to the mix. Yeah, I'll go over. And then Washington won, as I said, 15 games last season. They're over-under, much like Brooklyn said at 19.5. They're going to stink. They're going to be really bad. Brogdon's already out. I don't know if Kuzma stays on the team. I don't know where Valanciunas is by January. They will want to lose again. They will make it their mission to lose again. And they will go under 19.5 again. I've got them at 18 wins. Let's go to the Western Conference. I am worried about what's happening with Denver. I thought me putting them at 52 wins was being aggressive. They won 57 last season, but the over-under on FanDuel is 50.5. Is KCP that important? Is Jamal Murray's knee injury that worrisome? I guess putting them together, maybe. That's a big step back, man. Now, I don't know if I'd bet the over on the Nuggets, because I am too concerned, and their preseason was bad. There is an Abu Dhabi trip in there, which is always a little bit weird. But yeah, I don't know about that one. Why is Minnesota so low? 51.5. This team won 56 games last season. Why is it so low? Is it losing Karl Anthony Towns, who also missed a bunch of time last season with a torn meniscus? Is that why we're down on them? They added Randall. They added DiVincenzo. Why? I actually dropped them down from 56 to 54. But I'm still going over 51.5. Very easily. The Thunder sits at 57.5. They won 57 games last season. They added Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso and lost Josh Giddey. If Isaiah Hartenstein was not injured to begin this season, and their center depth consists of Alex Reese behind Chet Holmgren, I would have gone probably to 60, honestly. As it stands, I've got them at 58 wins, tied with Boston for best record. And they could, with a healthier Hartenstein, if he was ready, they would be my number 1 regular season wins team. So them sitting at 57.5, I don't really understand that. Portland has an over-under of 20.5. Last season, they were bad at 21 wins. They will be probably the worst team in the Western Conference. Doesn't mean they're bad, though. There are competent players. Avdia, Grant, Simon, Scoot, Sharp when he comes back, Ayton, Klingon, Williams if he plays at all. There are some capable enough players. The problem is they've got the worst coach in the league, and they will not necessarily be trying to win. I've got them at 20 and 62, so that is 1 game fewer than last season, mainly just because of the strength of teams around them. And then Utah sits at 27.5. Now, I know Will Hardy is a very, very good coach, and in previous seasons, what they have done is they have played well. Danny Ainge just sort of kept his hands away and then gone in for a tank too late. I was going to say something incredibly inappropriate, so I won't. Just imagine what it is. But Cooper Flagg is on offer. And yes, he is the number one player. They signed up Lauri Markkanen, so he couldn't be traded this season because I believe there's an implicit you will not play down the stretch. They will be giving the ball to Isaiah Collier and Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh and Keontae George. They will not want to go anywhere near 27.5. They will win one game after the All-Star break would be my guess. One game, I guess. So I've got them at 23 and 59. I think it's going to be... I think their mistake the last 2 years has been being better than the sum of their parts and not shutting the parts down early. I think that they will be making moves to make sure they don't win. The Pacific Division. Actually, you know what? We'll come back for the Pacific Division. We'll get back to that in a sec because I've got to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. We've talked a lot about FanDuel on today's show because you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when opening night rolls around, you're looking at the games, you're trying to pay attention to what's going on. You see something happening in the first half versus then it's halftime, and you want to go in and you can have a look at the live stats on the same page, on the same place on the app where you would place those bets. The live stats are there. The live play-by-plays there. It might be the football as well that you're watching. All that is possible. So you go in and you can see all the information you need right in the palm of your hand as it is happening. And if you are a new customer, all you got to do is place a $5 bet and you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So head across to FanDuel.com and check out all these odds and over-unders that we're talking about. It's all over there. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, which fan base can I piss off now? Let's talk about the Pacific Division. I hate all of these teams as well, so that's a coincidence. Golden State has an over-under win total of 43.5. Last season they won 46 and they lost Klay Thompson, who struggled. Had some real struggles. I have actually got them at 42 and 40. And why is that? Well, I think they're a team full of very good players. Too many good players. And for some reason they just extended Moses Moody, who I don't even know that he plays every night. But there's just so many things that need to give here. Is Wiggins going to stay? Is Kuminga going to get traded? Are they going to play a center? Where's Podziemski fit? Who actually replaces the spacing of Klay? How does Steve Kerr run the rotation? What if Steph gets hurt? There's so much downside here. So they won 46. I've got them at 42, largely also because there's another team who is in the Southwest Division who is going to win probably 20 more games than they won last season. So the losses have got to pile up somewhere else. So I'm bringing Golden State down to 42. That's a softish under 43.5. Maybe, not a super one. The Clippers, the over-under is 35.5, man. That is low. When I came in and put them at 34 and 48, I thought they'll be sitting at 39 or something, and I'll be way under. Not really, only 1.5 under. I don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi. He signed an extension. Actually, I need to check this. About Kawhi. Yeah, I wanted to check if there was any trade restriction on Kawhi after signing an extension. There is not. So I think the Clippers would trade Kawhi if that comes a possibility. They would never get someone back as good as Kawhi, but maybe they get back someone who actually plays. I don't know. The whole thing just smells a lot. And no, they won't be trying to necessarily lose because their draft pick's unprotected. So they won't just be shutting guys down left, right, and center because imagine they give up pick 1 and it goes to the Thunder. Oh my God. That would be dreadful. But I think they're just going to be bad. I got them at 34 from a 35.5 under. Or over under. It's sort of bettable. I'm surprised that I actually like the Lakers. I don't think they're necessarily going to be good. But the Lakers won 47 games last season. That's a lot of games. And we think the Lakers had a disappointing season. Yeah, they did. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, but they won 47 games. I've got them at 45, but their over-under is 42.5. Now, they made no change in the offseason. They did nothing. They brought in Christian Koloko, and they drafted Dalton Connect. They lost Taurean Prince. Does anyone care about any of those things? Not really. It is possible that AD and LeBron don't play as much as last season, but I don't know, man. 42.5 seems really low. So I've got them at 45. That to me is probably bettable. I think Phoenix under Mike Budenholzer is priced incredibly low. Phoenix won 49 games last season. Their over-under is 48.5. They think they're going to be worse than last season, where Bradley Beal missed the first third of the season and Devin Booker was also hurt, with Frank Vogel, who didn't really coach them well, and a bunch of minimum contracts who didn't work out. And now they've added in Tyus Jones, and now they've got Mike Budenholzer. And yeah, the risk is that Nurkic is hurt and that Durant does, get hurt after playing so many minutes. But that doesn't seem right to me. I actually think they're going to cook Phoenix. I got them at 53 wins. Now, I was a little bit high. I was much higher on them last season too, and that didn't work. But I think all the ingredients are there for Phoenix to be way better than 48.5. I'll go way over. And I'm going to go under on the Kings. Sacramento, last season, I vaguely remember I was correct on them, not hitting their over-under. I thought that they would struggle to be in the playoffs. I think I had them in the play-in, and that's exactly what happened, and they didn't make it. And I worry again. Part of it is them and their team and going all in on offense with low spacing while sort of eschewing defense is an iffy proposition. They've had very strong health for 2 consecutive years, and that is a hard thing to rely upon. The DeRozan, my turn, your turn ball with Fox and Sabonis, I don't really know. So they won 46. Their over-under's 46.5. I got them at 42. Still a winning record, but there are just other teams that I like more. And I still have a lot of question marks. And like Denver, that is shocking preseason. So I'm going to go under on Sacramento to 42 and 40. Lastly, we go to the Southwest Division. Explain this one to me if you can. The Nuggets won 50 games last season. They made it to the NBA Finals. They were like a 54-win pace, I believe, after the trade deadline. Their over-under is at 49.5, despite adding Klay Thompson and Derek Lively in year 2 now. Why would that be? Is Jason Kidd set to regress to being a bad coach again? People are like, oh my God, Josh doesn't know what he's talking about. He says Jason Kidd's a bad coach. Jason Kidd was a very bad coach. Jason Kidd improved last season. Immensely. He did. Said it many times. Doesn't change that he used to be a very bad coach. And he improved. Things change and improve. But what is this? Why are they 49.5? I went 53. Now, I don't think that necessarily them making it to the Western Conference Finals means they're a top 2 team. I'm not sure that is what that means. I don't have them second. I have them third behind Minnesota. But, an injury to Luka pushes them to 7th probably. But I think that second year Derek Lively, adding Najee Marshall, adding Quentin Grimes, and adding Klay Thompson makes his team good. Plus a full season of Gafford and PJ Washington. I'm in. I'm also in on Houston. Their over-under is 42.5. What are we doing? They won 41 last season. And that was first year under Ime Udoka. Now year 4 Jalen, year 4 Şengün, year 2 Amen. Stacked roster. Really stacked. I got them at 46.5. To me, that is a comfortable over. Memphis, obviously, a lot of circumstances last season. They won 27 games. We know they're not going to be a 27-win team. I bumped them up to 48 wins, and Vegas set them at 46.5. I think they have a real shot to win 50. And when I talk about teams like Golden State and Sacramento winning fewer games, it's because I think Dallas is going to do more. I think Houston's going to do more. I think Memphis is going to do more. So I've got Memphis going over as well. I like the Dallas and Houston bets better than Memphis, but I still like Memphis. The Pelicans won their over-under also incredibly low. The Pelicans won 49 games last season. Their over-under is 45.5. I know they don't have a center, but is FanDuel looking at this and go, man, they're going to really rue the day they lost Jonas Valanciunas. They're going to rue it. Now, I guess part of it is there's the uncertainty with Ingram. There's Zion's consistent health problems. But they also added DeJounte Murray. They also hopefully get Trey Murphy back really quickly and he develops in year 4 here. Year 4? Year 4. Being that far below last season I don't get it. I've got them going 51 and 31. I think they could actually really cook in the regular season. And the last team is the San Antonio Spurs, who won 22 games last season. Victor Wembanyama is awesome. He's definitely awesome. 35.5 is a lot, man. They added Chris Paul. They added Harrison Barnes. They show they want to be better. Jeremy Sohan's there. Steph Castle won't produce wins as a rookie. The rest of their team's still pretty thin. I've got them improving up to 28 wins. 35.5 is an insane jump. That is possibly the best bet I've ever seen on the board. And I love Wemby. And he actually, if there's one player who can actually drag a team there, it might be him. That is such a crazy leap, though. That is, 13.5 games above where they were last season. That's crazy. I'm not going to go through every single award that's available. I'm not even going to do Defensive Player of the Year because Wemby is just so far in front of everybody. But there are a few ones that I wanted to talk about and give you a little most of my ideas, and then we'll get to an NBA champion at the end. I think Luka, even though he's the favorite at plus 330 for MVP, I do think that Luka is in line to win MVP this season. It could easily be Shea. It won't be Embiid. It could be Jokic, but I really don't think we're going to go that way. I don't see any real outlier sort of guys. I don't think Ant Edwards is up for that area yet. I'm going to take Luka plus 330. My one, if I had to go a little bit deeper into the odds, it would be Giannis, who sits at plus 850. If the Bucks, and I don't think they are, but if the Bucks were to get the 2 seed and win 55 games, that it would be because Giannis went crazy again, was one of the best offensive and defensive players in the league, and would be in this discussion. So I've got Giannis at plus 850. We'll see whether Glenn Rivers can get him there. The Rookie of the Year, the favorite for Rookie of the Year, is not who I think is going to win. I think it's going to be Alex Sarr that wins. He's plus 1,000. So not only is he plus 1,000, he's plus 1,000, and I think he's going to win. The consensus, is it consensus? I guess it is, because Zach Edey is plus 290. Edey's going to start for Memphis. There's not going to be many rookies who do that. I think Sarr's going to be one of them, though. Edey will be one of those players who gets people's attention for sure. But in the end, is he actually going to be better than Sarr? I honestly don't think so. Plus, that extra value that I get, plus 1,000 versus plus 290, Sarr versus Edey, I'll take Alex Sarr. Might not work out, obviously. Sixth Man of the Year, I don't want to do Most Improved either. That's this one. Who do you think's not good but actually might become good? Well, if I thought they were going to become good, I'd tell you they're already good. And usually, that player goes to someone who was good and then became an all-star. And I just hate the award, honestly. Like, the top picks are like Wembanyama. Jalen Johnson, who should have won it last season. Does he need to be an all-star? Like, he was the most improved player. It's a garbage award, and I'm not going to do it. Sixth Man, though, is an interesting one. Because there are players like CJ McCollum on that list who don't think is going to qualify. Al Horford. Alex Caruso. Don't think they're going to qualify. Bogdan Bogdanovic could have won it last season. I'll give him the plus 1,600 bet for this. It'd be very easy to look at Naz Reid to repeat. We saw in the past that Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles both finished top 3 in Sixth Man of the Year despite both playing for the same team, which is very funny. You could say Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo could both win Sixth Man, and that is true. But they also just both played for the same team. So I do think there'll be some votes sort of taken away in that regard. If the Wolves are good, they'll look to those players. Who do I vote for? Bogdanovic could be, and probably is, the Hawks' second best player. And he'll be coming off the bench. He'll be scoring a ton and closing games. At plus 1,600, I love it. The dark horse one for me is Amen Thompson. He's plus 6,000. I don't think he's going to start in Houston, but I think he's going to be an absolute defensive wrecking ball. And if there's any semblance of shooting, there won't be. But if there's any semblance of shooting, he could very easily win this for a team that captures the nation in terms of, wow, how exciting is this Rockets team? Fueled by Amen being crazy coming off the bench. So that's why I've got Amen Thompson there as the Sixth Man of the Year. Lastly, I want to look at a couple of bets for the NBA title. I think Boston is going to make it out of the East. But I want to talk about who I think is going to win, and then a value pick. I think the Thunder are going to win the title. They're plus 650 at the moment. I don't like the odds on Boston, which are on FanDuel at the moment, if I go and have a look. Plus 310. I don't like those odds. Thunder plus 650, I do. If I'm going to go deep, I'm going to pull down the menu. I'm going to go to Phoenix at plus 2,000. The order of favoritism is Boston, OKC, the Knicks, the Sixers. Jesus, at 3 and 4, I do not like those odds for either of those teams. The Wolves, the Nuggets, the Mavericks, the Bucks, and the Suns. The Suns are plus 2,000 for the title. I think that is a very, very good outside shot to take a look at. It's also interesting that the Warriors and the Lakers are both priced shorter than the Pacers are. And that is my look ahead to the season, some awards, a title pick, and the over-under season wins. Did I hate your team more than I hate the other person's team? I hope so. Make sure you go ahead and hit the thumbs up and subscribe and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.